Well, let me just stem into another question. It's a little bit further down on our list. And just so everyone knows, I did give you these questions ahead of time. And that's just journalistic, integrity to be like, hey, I'm not going to, surprise you with stuff. I want to have you time to prepare answers for stuff. And to your credit,
I threw out the weird ones. Nobody needs to know what color underwear I'm wearing today. I don't know whoever submitted that, but, come on.
Come on, guys. Come on. And I swear it wasn't me. Wink, wink. So let's just, okay, hypothetical question for you. You're at home. It's a day off from work. You're sipping tea or lemonade or whatever you're drinking, on a patio, having a good time. Up walks, we're going to call it a black Escalade with the Hasbro logo on the side at your front door. And they walk out and they go, Mr. Mitchell, we'd like to talk to you about possibly returning to the Power Rangers brand with Hasbro. Is that, if the things were right on it and things were lucrative, is that something that you would entertain? You'd be surprised how many people ask this question, just so you know.
Let me answer the question with this. It's highly flattering, and I'm very humbled that anyone would think of us in the same breath like that. And I thank you for that. That's a nice thing to say, a nice thing to think. I'm happy as a clam, doing what I love, doing what I'm doing. Alpha Group is the best company to work for and has embraced me and empowered me. So I cannot imagine myself anywhere else right now. And even my boss agrees with me if I say this out loud to anybody, which is, there's no such thing as never or always. Living life in absolutes robs you of some of the pleasures you could have, and also potentially steers you in terrible wrong directions because you were tunnel vision, myopic, or stubborn. So I leave it at that. I think Hasbro is going to do an amazing job. I'm humbled to think that anyone would think of my name, their name, and the Power Rangers name all in the same sentence, whether it's a fan or an HR person or a brand manager. There's those things never, no such thing as always. But boy, do I love what I'm doing over here. Boy, do I love my team. We're doing just such cool, amazing things here that my heart swells with pride just thinking about some of the stuff that we're cooking up right now that we've accomplished, even in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And my heart swells with pride that anyone would think of me in a question like that. So thank you for that.
Hey, it's something you earned, and the fans, not just myself. I mean, I've already told you, I miss you, but a lot of fans, even casual fans, know your name, and they're all very happy that you're doing well and everything like that. They wouldn't mind a little bit of Mr. Mitchell back on Power Rangers. So,
that means a lot to me. The brand meant a lot to me. The brand gave me a new way of looking at things and a new way of interacting with fans and people who love, live, and want to share something that was important to them, whether it was in their childhoods or whether it was in their adult lives. And I talked earlier about you get those 3 or 4 lightning rod moments of a career or of a personal life. And career-wise, the ability and the opportunity to do that, it felt like longer than it was, not because it was too much work or whatever, but just because there's just so much work that was being done. Mm-hmm. It shocks me when I think about it. Sometimes it was only, it was less than 4 years, but, it's something that I still carry with me to this day with pride. So again, I thank you guys for thinking of me like that. And I thank you guys for, continuing to enjoy the things we all did together.
Definitely. And I mean, so there's an attraction draw right there for anyone going to, the conventions and so forth. You can always go and look for Greg. He's just not going to be where you normally found him. He's probably going to be on the other side, but go look for him. Go say hi. We're going to dive into some more, I consider them fun questions, stuff about your time at Bandai, stuff about, I tried to pick out some questions that we got about over, I think final count, I had 68 questions that I trimmed down and sent you 20 something.
Damn, y'all.
Yeah. So, I tried to pick, ones that I thought would be really interesting to hear about and so forth. So I'm going to start with this one. So, John Green, and I don't know if you're familiar with John. John runs the website, greenranger.com, the huge Bandai toy database website that's got just about every single Power Rangers toy ever created in existence cataloged.
I heard his name was really John Rosenberg, but he loved the Green Ranger so much that he had his name legally changed to Green. That's what I heard.
It's possible. I'll throw that out to him and see what he says.
Just kidding.
Well, John wanted to know. He's a huge evil space alien fan from back in the day. So he was curious what the impetus for the renaissance of all those bad guy figures we got in Dino Charge was.
Oh yeah, that was fun to do, and I'm glad we got to do it. The impetus there was, again, it's all about timing, and it's all about like with the what's going on both in your own house as well as at your competitors, right? And we were super excited to see that Turtles was red hot, obviously with the relaunch in 2012. Nickelodeon and Playmates did a phenomenal job with that line, and they proved once again that your bad guys don't have to be named Darth Vader or Stormtrooper A, B, or C to sell bad guy figures. And again, a testament to the great character design, a testament to Playmates making it just a really good, solid product at a great price. Their number one selling item every year, of course, was the action figure assortment. And when you only have 4 turtles, you've got to make sure you're bringing great figures to augment that turtle experience with. When we all laugh and joke about, that back in those 90s days where because you only had 4 turtles, you got some crazy ass versions of turtles back there. You had baseball player turtles. You had turtle pirates.
I think my favorite turtle was like a undercover Donatello or something. He had a trench
oh my
coat
god,
and a
yeah,
hat.
with the creepy pervert trench coat
And the mask that you put on, yeah, with the glasses. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and to their credit, they could have leaned back and done that again, but what they did was they really helped drive and augment those sales with really kick-ass villains. And what it did was it acknowledged everything that you knew about watching Power Rangers, which was you always had a new awesome villain every week. Sometimes they looked utterly ridiculous, and that made them desirable as a figure. And other times they looked legitimately badass and evil, and you wanted that figure. And just and that's again, I'm thinking like an adult, because adult sales really factored in, of course, to our everyday sales for our regular figures, because you guys always came out and represented. But even for a little kid, the core DNA of an action figure brand is you buy good guys and bad guys and you have them fight. And you need bad guys in that equation to do it with. So we were able to kind of talk the retailers, off the ledge about being nervous about that by saying, guys, yes, Turtles ratio to us is much more red hot and bigger than we are. But by ratio, we could do just as well by having really good villains in our mix too. And let us show you how cool they are, and let us try them out and seed them into those early case packs and get people excited about them. And everyone turned up and everyone bought the bad guys, and we didn't have those horrible situations like that. In the Samurai year, you had the most awful, evil, shitty-looking Rita Repulsa ever to grace an action figure peg that just sat there and just literally just sat there and shit the bed as far as productivity for the brand on the retail pegs.
Yeah.
And by the time I got there, they were still talking about how bad that figure was. We were planning Super Mega Force when I got there, and they were still talking about that Samurai version of Rita Repulsa that was so horrible. And we had to dispel retailers of that notion, because if the buyer was still the same buyer from that, 2 years previous, they would go, oh God, it's not going to be that weird brown witch lady, is it? No. First of all, that was a terrible sculpt and a terrible paint job. Secondly, we want to bring the really compelling, neat looking villains. And that's when you get kind of what into like the character selection process was. So we couldn't do every villain. We knew we couldn't afford the tooling and the efficiencies needed to bring every single villain out, at least at first. The vision was to be able to do that, hopefully. So we really sat down there with usually ourselves, us, the Japanese design and R&D team. We would all look at, we would basically do like a big old fun, draft selection essentially of, which villains would make the best action figure, which villain would make the most aggressive looking action figure, which villain would be so outlandishly silly, teacher.
Yeah.
The sports, the crazy sports one, forgive me for not remembering his name, that would be so funny that a little kid who's divorced of any kind of notions of like, oh, well, what kind of bad guy is that? Who would just react purely to, oh my God, I love that episode, or oh my God, it's a bad guy with a baseball and a basketball and and then we culled those lists based on what we hoped were the good best bets to move forward with. And when you guys came to the shelves and bought them, it gave retail that extra comfort level of, okay, so you don't have to be Darth Vader or the most, hot shit brand that Turtles was at the time to sell bad guys. You could still sell bad guys if you're smart, strategic, and careful about it. So it was fun to do. We loved doing it.
Cool. That's a nice insight to that, as opposed to the official days of, we're trying new stuff. They're cool.